Following on from our little blog entry yesterday, which we focused on sex for the purposes of conception, Tombo.
Important.
Today we thought we'd talk about sex during pregnancy, and the big question is, what is his problem?
There's a whole list that I can think of, but what we've actually done is narrow it down to 8 points that we think you need to be aware of so you can manage this with your partner in a proactive fashion.
Yeah, look, a lot of girls have told us that they felt that their partner didn't want to have sex with them in later stages of pregnancy because they were big or they felt fat or whatever. But the reality is, Tombo, I don't think that's the case, because of all the dads we've interviewed around the world, just about all of them tell us that they think their pregnant wife is gorgeous.
At no time have they been more turned on.
Not about more turned on, but they think she's beautiful.
That's what they tell me.
So the question is, what is their problem? And let's have a look at some very, very typical issues that men face. Now, it's a little bit of a cliche, but staggeringly enough, it is actually true that some men are genuinely scared that by having intercourse with their partner when she's pregnant, that they are going to tap the baby on the head.
Yeah, look, a number of the dads that we spoke to in our Being Dad DVDs
this is one of them calling
said
now.
this, just coming through now on line 2, said that they were actually concerned of tapping the baby on the head. What we also found is that the other dads in the groups got a lot of humour from this very quickly and said, mate, don't worry about it, you're not that big.
And look, I mean, as you probably know, that there is obviously a mucus plug that is,
Yep.
in the cervix there, so you'd have to get past that. Now, obviously, we don't...
John Holmes can't get past that.
We don't want to be telling our husbands that we've got a mucus plug in our cervix.
That's a very good point also.
I think we just want to let him know that hardcore, it's really not a problem. Or you can give him a copy of Being Dad, because in that, our sex expert tells him all about it.
Correct.
Moving on to the next one. A lot of guys feel that by having sex with a pregnant woman, they're in fact having sex with someone else in the room. And by someone else, I mean a little person, like a child. And for some reason, that just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it is definitely something that a number of the dads that we've spoken to have said that they've had an issue for them.
If Jessica Simpson was in the room, it probably wouldn't be a problem. But if there's a little kid floating around, I think it's reasonable to
understand and assume that there would be some issues there.
I've not come across any women who feel like
No.
that, but I guess that's because they've got the baby on board.
Correct.
But anyway, moving on to the next one. It's a girl. For a lot of guys that we've spoken to who knew that they were having a daughter, or that there was a girl growing inside of their wife.
It's quite funny, isn't it, that most of the guys that knew that they were having a son didn't have this issue. It was specifically guys that knew that they were having a daughter felt an awkward sense when they were with their wife, and it's something you can only resolve, I think, by talking to your partner about it.
Just get you in the picture a little bit.
Appreciate it.
Look, and I think it is interesting, that point, and we'd probably have to get some sort of psychologist onto that as to what the issue is there, but anyway, we'll move on. Guys are we are strange animals. Now, logistics, I think, especially when we're talking the later stage, I think for a lot of dads or a lot of guys, they're a little bit unsure of what positions are okay, and there's a big belly there, and how do I get in?
This is no different to experimenting when you've just first met your partner and you're having sex for the very first time. It's absolutely no different. It's a chance to experiment and have a little bit of a play around and find out what works for both of you.
And there are lots of positions that obviously work well, and girls, I'm sure you've probably been on all the websites and understand them. So
experimentation is the key, I think, here, Sam.
Perhaps a few little stick figure diagrams for the little man, in his lunchbox might go a long way.
I agree.
Now, another important point is he may be scared that he's going to hurt you. We've talked about hurting the baby, but also hurting you, and there needs to be, I think, a discussion with him about what is okay and what isn't. And I think for a lot of dads, they don't understand that really the key areas are you can have sex without putting pressure on the stomach and the breasts and those type of areas. And that's where you can come in and maybe introduce things like some pillows and different positions. And,
exactly right.
And
rolls on well from the previous point, I think.
Correct. So it's just really for you to sit down with him and explain that if the position's right, there's absolutely no chance that he's going to be hurting you or the baby.
Yep.